So last week I talked to you about why I don't use flashcards for vocabulary learning and SRS. So today I wanted to show you how I go about it, how I learn vocabulary. And my way of learning vocabulary is actually pretty simple because I really like to learn words through reading. To understand why I really like reading for vocabulary acquisition though, I think you need to understand my view of language learning as a whole. You see, maybe it's just me, but I feel like I have a more romantic vision of learning words compared to maybe other people perhaps. And this might be due to my education in foreign languages and literatures though. You see, I think that learning vocabulary and acquiring it the way I do makes me kind of feel like one of those researchers when they saw hieroglyphics for the first time. And this process of decodification and discovery is for me truly fascinating. And this is how I feel when I acquire vocabulary through reading. I feel like I'm decoding something. When I have a text in front of me, it's like I have a maze, and I feel like I need to make sense of it. Granted, I can't succeed in the first try, of course. I can't possibly understand 100% of a text while I'm reading it, but I accept it. Much like people cannot solve a puzzle in one day, I cannot figure out a text in one day. But that's okay. So what I do next is that I go back to that puzzle every now and then, and I can see that I can figure out stuff that I couldn't notice the time before. And I progressively read the same text until I can understand it deeply. And to make my maze more interesting, I choose topics that resonate with me, with what I do and with my interests. In this way, the words become so ingrained, almost as if they were a part of me, that when time comes for me to speak, I actually know quite a lot of words, and it's definitely a lot more than what I would have known with traditional ways of learning languages. And I can tell you this from experience because I've tried both ways. I've tried academic, traditional ways, and I've tried just reading. And reading just makes me go back to the text and makes me actually want to learn words. You see, one of the reasons why I think I don't enjoy learning vocabulary through flashcards is because these traditional ways of learning languages kind of take poetry away from language learning and instead make it feel more of a robotic activity. Flashcards just don't make me feel the same kind of adventure, the same kind of accomplishment that reading and listening give me. The way I'm able to read on a daily basis is through a service called Lingq, which I'm a huge user of. I love Lingq because it was the first website where I was able to find content, interesting content in Korean when I was still at a beginner level. And it's also great because you can upload stuff like ebooks, YouTube videos, which you probably know I'm a huge fan of, Netflix episodes, websites, and Wikipedia pages. The reason I prefer using Lingq for my reading is because it allows me to look up vocabulary extremely fast. So if I don't know a word, it's just a click and I can see the translation, or I can look it up in a dictionary. And it also provides a way to save words you don't know, or to mark them as known, increasing your known word counter, which is, by the way, extremely satisfying to watch. So what I do is I grab a text that I'm interested in, upload it onto Lingq, and start reading it. If there are words that I don't know, I look them up and save them. These words will then be highlighted in yellow so that the next time that I'll read the text, I'll pay more attention to those. Once I start to recognize my saved words and then understanding them, and at the end knowing them, I'll update their status until they become known and they're added to my known word status. I actually started doing this thing on Instagram where at the end of each day, I'll upload a picture of my known word count on Lingq so that you can actually see my progress in Korean. So if you're interested, you can check that out. As far as vocabulary review is concerned, what I do is I grab a text that I've read on Lingq some time ago, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and read it again. I call this my natural SRS. I give more attention to yellow words and phrases, and if I understand them, I'll mark them as known and go forward. This method allows me to add repetition in my language learning without it being boring. So you can see how my view of language acquisition ties with the writings of Hungarian polyglot and translator Clara. In her book called Polyglot, How I Learned Languages, She quotes a Hungarian poet called Dezső Kostolany, and I hope I pronounced that well, who says this about language learning through reading. An exciting game, a coquettish hide and seek, a magnificent flirt with the spirit of humanity. Never do we read so fluently and with such keen eyes as in a hardly known new language. We grow young by it, we become children, babbling babies, and we seem to start a new life. This is the elixir of my life.